got my man Oz Smalls today, man. Fashion designer, man. Icon for the fashion. I'm talking about fur coats, sneakers, all that for money earning Mount Vernon, man. From 15th Avenue, man. We just catching up. It's been a long time. This cat designed some things from a lot of major players in the hip hop game. Also watches, cologne, and all that. Yo, Oz, man, take us down the journey, man, and let the folks know about Ozzie Smalls, man.
Where do you want me to begin?
Yo, how you first started off, man, and just take us through the adventure. What got Oz into the game? You know, what was Oz really creating back then, and what Oz is doing now?
Well, my early inspiration came from, I think I was coming home, I came home from school one day, and Video Music Box was on, and they were hosting some kind of a fashion show, and 5001 Flavors, they were in the fashion show, and you know, they were showing a lot of colorful stuff. I mean, I was already on that type of time anyway, but I wasn't thinking as broad as just doing the actual clothing line. But once I watched that show with 5001, that was like my motivation that this is what I wanted to be pursuing.
Okay. All right.
Shout out to 5001 Flavors, Guy and Troy.
Okay, so yo, when did you start getting into the furs and doing the design with the Louis and all that on the sneaker joints?
Oh, yeah, we jumping way. So I first came in the game. I didn't come in as a designer. I came in as a marketing guy. So I started working with a company that was a subsidiary of Jordache. You know the clothing line Jordache.
Jordache jeans, yes sir.
I came in there and I started doing marketing for the company, and that's how I actually came in the fashion business. So I didn't really come in as a designer. I came in really as a marketing guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What year was this around? What year was this around, if you don't mind, if you can remember?
This was like around 1999.
Okay.
1999. Yeah, you know, until then I was kind of figuring life out. I was promoting parties. I was doing a whole bunch of different things, but I was trying to I was figuring life out. And then I always knew I wanted to do the fashion thing. I wasn't really taking it seriously. I was just living life, being just living life. I was just living life then.
Okay.
That type of stuff. So I got into GSL. I worked with them for a while. I placed a lot of their products in movies. I ghost designed some of the product. Actually, some of the product that was worn. There's a movie with DMX. I forget the name. I don't know why I forgot the name of the movie. I think it might have been Exit Wound.
Okay.
Exit Wounds, I think was the name of the movie. But all the product that they wore, a majority of the leather and stuff that was in the movie, I actually designed it. Yeah. And I know you know Ray Copeland from Mount Vernon. I don't even think he actually knows that it was me that was instrumental in also providing it for them as well as designing it.
Okay. So what else, man? I mean, give me some more. Like, yeah.
So then after I did that, after I left there, I went to work with a company called Saxony, and they were like, at this, back then they were considered like high-end leather. And then I started doing marketing for them and I skip forward too fast. I actually was the first guy. I mean, now he's painted. But I was the first guy to ever put R. Kelly in the clothing ad. And that was with GSL. So his very first ad that he's ever did pertaining to the clothing, I put him in the ad. I flew out there. I met with Rob. I styled the ad and laid the closeout, styled the ad and everything. So I was hands-on with the whole thing. It was my project, and now he's tainted, but I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's still a part of history.
Right.
It's still a part of history.
That's dope.
Most people probably don't even know.
Right.
That's you know.
That's dope, yo. That's dope. I'm glad you brought that up. That's dope, though. Yeah.
And then after I did, then I went to work with another company called Saxony, and I was still doing this other job, but I was doing like a part-time thing at Saxony. I was only doing like 20 hours a week, whatever it was. But I was working nights, but I wanted to get into the fashion thing, and then I just said one day I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to work. I couldn't do the two jobs, and at the time, I was expecting twins, and I ended up quitting that job, quitting the night job, and took a chance with it. I was making a lot of money at the other job, and I just took a chance with a part-time gig at I'm doing marketing for this company, Saxony. But it turned out to be it turned out to be profitable in the long run. And then while I was working there, I picked up a hustle, and I started putting the Gucci, the Louis and Burberry and Fendi and all that stuff on the Air Force Ones and on the Air Force Ones and on Timberland boots.
Now, hold on right there. Pause for a second. What got you to ever think to imagine to do that, yo?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. There's this guy, his name is Roger McKenzie. He's a popular stylist. He's probably a famous stylist, like, among his peers. He called me up one day and he said he needed some stuff for. Maybe he might have found out I was doing that. I don't know if he called me up because he knew I was doing it, or he called me up looking for. I think he must have known I was doing it. So he called me up, and I guess I'm kind of jumping forward because I don't really remember what happened then. If it was before or after, but again, I was always experimenting, doing different things. I was always I guess what they consider like ahead of the curve. So I'm always thinking. I'm thinking like 4 years later, 5 years later, and I follow the trends kind of heavy. So I know when things are going to turn and what's going to go. I can't even really kind of explain it. It's just a gift that I'm just saying. Like it's a gift from God, man. I'm just being honest with you.
Right.
So what happened was, I'll just tell you that story. Roger calls me up and he was doing a video for Mobb Deep. And Mobb Deep was doing a video with 112. They had a song with 112. I think it was like for them it was like a slow jam, hip hop slow jam. I don't say slow jam, but they were of course it was like an R&B type of song for them from Mobb Deep. So so Roger calls me up and he's like, I need some snorkels and I need the boots and like whatever, and I was like, I got you. So he didn't tell me what he wanted. I just kind of did it myself. So I went and I got a Burberry scarf, and I got some Gucci fabric, and I put the Gucci on the top part of the snorkel, around the hood, the elbow patch, and I put it on the Timbs. I put it on the construction bleed, and I think it was the other one was the black. And so I put the Burberry and the Gucci on the boots and on the jacket, and it kind of like took off after that.
Wow.
It took off after that because the video, you could see it like it was a prominent thing in the video. And back then, like nobody was doing anything like that other than I think when they saw Dap doing it, Dapper Dan doing it.
Okay.
But that wasn't the first time I did anything like that. Like prior to that, I think I was in high school. I might have been in high school or coming out of high school. I think I was in high school. There was this tailor on 241st Street. His name was Lennox. And his name was Lennox. So Lennox, my father used to go there. I'm Jamaican. So they're Jamaican. My pops used to go there, get, I guess, get some tailoring done. So I went and got some fabric, some texturized linen, and I got this chick I was dating. I convinced her to let me cut up a Fendi bag, and I cut up a Fendi bag, so I had a bolero, short bolero linen jacket. Like nobody was doing that shit. I was one way advanced. I'm just being honest. So I had a bolero cut jacket, and I had some linen pants, some texturized linen pants. It was so the fabric was mixed with silk, but they were dress pants, but they were straight at the bottom. You know, they was the fly, some plastic. And I had on the top part here, I had them cut out the 2 F's, but it was in the actual fabric. And then around with the band of it, it was the actual fabric of her bag. Like I said, I convinced her to cut a Fendi bag up. So that was my first, and I never seen. I might have saw it in the video, somebody wearing it, and then I just was like, this is just my thing. You know what I mean? It was just my thing. So fast forward, that was my first time doing it. So fast forward, we're putting it on the sneakers. It just came kind of like it is what it is, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the first sneakers you put them on?
Well, the first things I did was the Timbs. I did the Timbs.
No, what's the first sneakers? The first sneakers that.
Nike.
Oh, Nikes. Okay.
It was always Nike. It was mostly Nike. I did Pumas. I did Adidas. I did anything that I was always trying to do, like something that was out of the box that people wasn't used to seeing. Because I was always challenging myself. Because I got bored quick. I'm always challenging myself. I was like, we'll do something different here. I cut the Coochie sweater up. I got the Coochie fabric from the actual factory from Australia that actually made Coochie. They gave me some of the fabric from back then.
Right.
Somehow I hooked up with this guy from California. Yeah, dude, I got some wild stories, man. Some of the stories seem a little unbelievable. I'll be honest with you. I got receipts for everything, but some of the stories, I look back at myself and like, damn. Some of the stories when you tell somebody, they're like, what? Because I'm like the invisible man that nobody sees. I've touched so many, I've had my hands in so many different things. It becomes to the point where like, is he lying? But I always pull out receipts, though. I always got receipts. I come a long way with receipts. The receipts kind of speak for itself.
Right.
So here's my receipt with that. So this girl from XXL, and XXL was like a popping magazine at the time. Her name was Vanessa Satin. I think it's Vanessa Satin. I was friends with the fashion editor. She gets in contact with me, and she asked me, could she do a story on me? So they gave me a half a page in XXL, and it was called The Fashion of Oz. So this is all documented stuff. So this is where I'm pulling out the receipt. So they featured it was a Timberland boot on the inside. It's the half a page. And it said Fashion of, big letters, Fashion of Oz. And then, I gave big up to Dapper Dan and stuff like that. Because, what his contributions, blah, blah, blah. But, again, it was me. And there was another gentleman by the name of Marcus Glasson came in. He had, Black Men's Magazine at the time. He also gave me a full-page spread of 3 of the boots inside. It was the boots and the sneakers inside the magazine. That's 2 receipts. So XXL at that time was that was, to the Bible of some people as far as the hip-hop. And between that and the source, there was the Bible. So for them to come in and they documented, so that where this came from. You know what I mean? It's documented where this thing was pulled out from. So there's gonna be people that's gonna say, I don't think I'll say it, but I mean, whatever. People say whatever they say. That, they did this and did nah, bro. It is what it is. And I was using people to do it for me, and I saw that other people came, and the guy that was doing putting on the sneakers, they were making it seem like it was their concept. So what I did was I had to move away from them. So when I moved away from them, because I'm kind of private like that, and so what I did was my office was on 34th said, listen, I'll explain it to him. I'll show you how to do it. And, you know, this is a dude that's like, he's you know, off of Fifth Avenue. You know, he ain't there just to be there. Like, he's a craftsman. So I showed him how to do it. I stayed with the trial and error. So when you saw the finished product with my stuff, it looked like it came from Nike. It looked like it came from Timberland. You didn't see no glue, you still no stitching, you saw nothing. My shit was perfection. That's a fact. And anyone that has ever gotten a boot or gotten sneakers from me, they'll tell you that it looked just like it came. You couldn't even tell nobody tampered with it. I had a professional doing it. I think just like you know Ray or a Rollo in the basement doing it. I had a professional dude doing it, and I ended up, we had a nice little run. I was doing it for everybody. Every stylist that was moving, Usher, Nas, P.D. Pablo, he was hot at the time. Faith, like I did one for Faith, her husband. Man, I did so many people. And then I was wholesaling. There was a store in the Bronx called Sammy's Fashion. I think it's still there. Sammy's Fashion. He was buying them wholesale from me. So I'd be getting on the train, going uptown before with a big duffel bag. Nobody knows what's in the bag. I'm going to deliver the sneakers. And I used to do it. Then I had a guy from Barbados, and he was coming in paying full price. I was charging $210, $250. Depends on what it was at the time. He was paying. I gave him a little discount because the business is still business, but he still was paying like $100 and some change for each thing. And he was coming getting 20, 30 at a time. I was killing him. I was killing him. But nobody knew what was coming from me though. I was in the magazine thing, blah blah blah, but nobody still didn't know what was coming from me. And I was still functioning the marketing job that I was doing. I was still doing that. Nobody knew this is what I was doing. The right people knew, but for the majority, nobody knew. Nobody knew. I wasn't advertising. I always been just, minding my business, staying out of the way, and I didn't really care at the time who took credit for whatever I was getting paid. I didn't really care about none of that. Because I was doing something that I liked doing because I was being creative, and then I stopped doing it, and I started painting the sneakers. So I got a tattoo artist, and he started painting. So now I moved from putting the Gucci, the Gucci, the Louis, like whatever it was. Man, I used to go. All right, I gotta check. Listen, I'm jumping around, but I used to go down. I had it. Looking back, man, you probably would have thought I was a genius, man. I ain't gonna hold you. Man, I used to go downtown and buy a pair of Gucci pants, the knockoff stuff, whatever. But I was getting, I became so good friends with the Asians down there, man. Because I was always polite, cool. I'm talking to everybody. That's just my personality. I'm making love with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yo, the guys like, they love me so much. They was like, no, don't get that. Get this, because there was different qualities. So they used to give me the ace. I used to buy like a pair of pants that was like $50, right? And I knew off of this pants, I was gonna make like $700 off the pants. Facts. I'll get the biggest size. I'm cutting them checks up. The guy Slava used to be like, man, I told him we had a situation where you just put the checks and you cut the fabric out. I knew exactly how much that was going to get me back. It was like I was selling drugs, but it was a different form. It was a legal kind. I'm just being honest with you. And then when me going down there, they started explaining to me the difference in. So I learned a lot from them. I learned like the equality with the Rolex watches, the equality with the I could spot a fake bag a mile away. So from going down there so much, I was a sponge, and I wanted to be a student. I wanted to learn. So they used to point this out. This don't look good. That don't look good. I became a bootleg expert. You know what I'm saying? A counterfeit expert.
Right.
Yeah, just for no reason. I just became, because they were showing me so much. You know what I'm saying? Because I always wanted the Gucci and man, they gave me exclusives. I mean, I had the sky blue Fendi pants. They were giving me exclusive stuff, and I was just cutting it. You know, I didn't wear none of that stuff because that wasn't my style. I'm always, you know, that was never my style. But yeah, that was a nice little, man. That was some fascinating moments, man. And now I look back and then talking to you, I just started thinking back. I'm like, yo, is this like what you said? Like what was going through your mind? But I can't explain it, man. And so fast forward, I started airbrushing. So me and my man Stacks, I got a partner. But I had a partner, but it was mostly I was doing the work. I was trying to help somebody out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was creative also, but the connections, you know, like, man, I was on WBLS talking about sneakers, man. You know what I'm saying? I was on Hot 97 talking about sneakers. You know, talking about about that. I was on talking about that. That's what I'm saying. That's how far it took me. That I was on the Hot 97 and I was on WBLS on guys. DJ Ace had a thing, and I was on his show talking about that. That's how far it took me.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably most people don't know. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes they put the mic in front of the wrong people, because I got stories for days. I didn't want to hold you up with the stories. I got stories for days. I got stories where they would be very very surprised.
Well, sometimes.
The important thing, I brought up the pastel, the Nikes and stuff like that. And this is a fact, and Nike could say what this is a fact. This is a fact. So after we did the Gucci and everything, I saw people started popping up out of nowhere. They started doing it. So usually for me, when somebody gets on a trend, I'm leaving it alone and moving on to something else. So then I got into painting sneakers. So then I did like what Nike put out, like was like an Easter. They had a sneaker that was like, I forget what they called it. Like it was an Easter pastel sneaker where they had like, it was like light purple, it was like light green, it was like multiple colored, pastel-y, like Easter colors on the Nikes. But here's a coincidence. It's a funny coincidence, man. I did that maybe 6 months ago. I did it 6 months ago. I did it before Nike was even coloring their sneakers, and I'm just being honest with you. And that wasn't something that I saw Nike do. There wasn't nobody I saw nothing else do. It's just that I wanted to move away from the Gucci and the Louis stuff because the market was starting to fill up, and I just didn't want to compete with the you know, and then the guys that I was doing a wholesale with, like Sammy's, I went to his store and I'm giving him quality stuff. He put the other stuff in there. He found another guy. That's just the nature of the beast, man. He's paying me an X amount of money. Another guy comes in and says I could do the same thing. It ain't the same quality. He gives the guy a shot. Customers are already hooked, so they don't know that they're not getting. At the time I wasn't branding the stuff, so you know you didn't know that you was getting an Ozzie exclusive. You know what I'm saying? But the work wasn't the same, and I felt that he was distrustful. So I just moved away from him, and I stopped doing the wholesale with him, and I started coloring the sneakers. And then right around then, I went to another company. I was in Atlanta talking to this guy, and he sold furs, and that's something I always wanted to do. I was always been a luxury dude, so I got in with him, and he had a set up meeting up for me. And I met with the dude that owns the company. Next thing you know, I'm selling furs. Next thing you know, the furs, I'm designing the furs for them. The furs are in like Nordstrom's, Boomies by Mail. You know,
I I remember that. I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
So then I'm there selling the fur. The fur brand was called Izzo, Eizzo, right? And it's just Ozzie spelled backwards.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I had them, right? So I worked along with them. You know, the first Super Bowl. There was a Super Bowl with Ja Rule and Ashanti had performed the Super Bowl that weekend. And that weekend that they performed, they wore Ja Rule wore my fur bomber varsity jacket, and then Ashanti wore one of my fur jackets. And then that's when it started, you know, again it started just, and then I was doing product placement. I was placing it in all the videos, I was placing it, everybody was coming because I had to connect with the luxury, you know, furs is a luxury thing, and I used to look out for a lot of people. Like I tried to help them, you know, because black people, man, I've always been there. I'm gonna see if I can help you, you know what I'm saying? I took a bunch of losses along the way, but for the most part, it is what it is, you know? Then, my guy calls me up. I'm gonna just kind of scatter around. My guy calls me up. Once we're still doing the fur, my guy calls me up. He says, "Hey, Ozzie, the guy wants to rent the furs out." And I was like, "Well, how many furs you need?" And he was like, "Well, we need like around 10." And I was like, "But the dude, Booze, in June, they just happened to be. I had respect for them. They were my men. So I was just like, I'm gonna do it for y'all, but I'm not, because I normally do it. But I'm gonna come myself with it." Right? So I show up to the shoot. Now he might have explained to me what it was for, but I really didn't understand. But he was my man, so I was like, yo, I'm just gonna help him out. So you know what? So I get there, they're shooting a commercial for Burger King. So he didn't tell me all this in the detail that Burger King had this thing called BK Heat, and they were doing it on like different people, different people. My man arranged this so they could do one on me and the furs. But when I went there, I didn't know that that's what it was. So when I went there, I'm just sitting there, you know, meeting people because like Raekwon, one of the dudes that played, he was I forget his name, played a crackhead on The Wire. Then later on he was on that show
Empire, yeah, the brown skinned dude with the good hair. The good hair, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry I forgot his name, but then there was a gentleman that he died, he was from the Oz. There was like a bunch of little people inside the commercial in Egypt. I think now she does like home improvement and stuff, and she was on the radio in New York at one point. I think she might have been on like BLS, one of the stations. So she was hosting the commercial. So after the day I'm seeing them on there, it's like, oh, you know, we're putting the furs up, and the dude turns around and says, because he hears me talking, and he tells me I got a good voice, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna put you in the commercial. So I'm like, dude, I don't do that. I'm behind the scenes, dude. I'm not. But anyway, he convinced me to be in the commercial, so I was actually in the commercial. So I go back to the office, we take everything back. I didn't think nothing about a couple of days. Now maybe 2 weeks later, so Booze tells me, yeah, I'm gonna send you something. And then I said, yeah, anyway, to make a long story short, I never knew that it was actually really like gonna be as big as it was. It was actually, I didn't, they showed the Burger King logo. It was like showed on like between 106 and Park and Rap City, and I started getting phone calls because people started seeing the commercial, the fur commercial, and then they saw me that was in the commercial, and they were like freaking out, like, yo, are you on television? And I mean, it's Burger King, so it's official.
Right.
Fast forward, so I called up to get a copy of it. So I get this girl on the phone. And first of all, the guy that was directed it was kind of, he was, it just was had some, either the director had something to do with it. He just was a funny guy. He didn't want to actually give up give me whatever, this is a long story, but so I get this female on the phone. I forgot her name, and I start talking to her, and we just became cool. slot. So what she did was she put my commercial in the slot. So the commercial ran for a whole year on television.
Wow.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah, just from me talking to her on the phone, she was like, Ozzie, she was like, oh, you seem like such a nice guy. I sent her some roses or something, like, for help and all that. And she was like, oh, you seem like a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. And I've been blessed like that. Always somebody's like, yo, you seem like a good dude. I'm trying to help you out. That's a blessing from God,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I've been down that path where someone's always kind of doing me like they're like doing me a bone, was like, I'm gonna help you out, like, you know what I'm saying?
No doubt. So we got 3 minutes. We got 3 minutes left. What would you like to say? Hey, that's all right. But look, Oz, we could do a part 2 too. But that's cool because you got a lot. You got a lot. So we got to finish this. We're gonna do.
Because the jewels that I needed to tell you, I didn't get to none of the jewels because right after the commercial, I love you because after the commercial, the owner of the company comes to me, and this is a jewel. The owner of the company comes to me and says that he trademarked the Izzo name. And I was like, trademarked the Izzo? Izzo, is my name spelled backwards, but he trademarked it. That means that it was a process. He never discussed it with me or anything. So when there's a jewel, when it's somebody else's money, you gotta expect a level of not gonna say, because dishonesty wouldn't be like a good word, but you kind of expect it, especially in that field, that somewhere along the line you might get screwed.
Right.
It's not really your money. You didn't invest nothing in it. You know what I'm saying? Even though you got sweat equity, whatever it might be, but it ain't the same. But here I am. I was already thinking that because I came up in the marketing thing, and I sat in enough meetings where I know that there might be a possibility that he might, as things start swelling, he might start feeling himself. So what he did was he trademarked the Izzo. So what I did was I came up with another brand, and it was called E equals MC squared. So while because I knew what was happening, I said, oh, so this is the joke. This is where this is what I was expecting. So what I did was, I said, oh, you know what? I got another idea. Because you were only making clothes. He was only making fur coats at the time. So I said, listen, you're only making money from like September to like January. But I got a hustle where you can make money all year round. And he was like, well, what? I said, I'm going to put you in the clothing business. And he was like, what? I said, I'm going to put you in the clothing business. I'm going to make, I'm going to do a clothing line, and I'm going to call it E equals MC squared, and it's just going to be a division of Izzo. Right?
Right.
But here's what he didn't know. I ran out and traded E equals MC squared.
So you got both of them. You got both.
I don't know if you followed that.
Yeah, you got both.
He went ahead and trademarked him.
Right.
Went ahead and trademarked Izzo. Right? That's what he thought. He thought that was the get over.
Right.
But what he didn't know was I went ahead and trademarked. He was so blinded by the Izzo that I went ahead and trademarked E equals MC squared.
Wow.
And he never double checked, he never did anything because he felt that because the furs were still selling, it was on the Izzo brand, they were promoting Izzo, but I kind of started slowing down the marketing of Izzo and started putting in E equals MC squared. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew eventually, if we bust out at the seams and this can't go so far on, I didn't want to be a victim.
Right.
So I just said, and I started promoting Equals MC Squared, and Equal MC Squared became a brand, a big brand.
Wow.
A big brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a jewel right there. That was a jewel right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Because like most of the guys that go into, like, if you see the deal that like Fubu, like Samsung they gave to like Fubu and those guys, the deals that they got, you'd be like whatever. And what happened was by me doing the marketing and then sitting in, I sat in a lot of rooms. And I sat in a lot of rooms and talked to a lot of people. So I had a guy, his name was Howard Weiss. Every time, he was the president of this division when I was with GSL, but every time he went to a meeting, for some reason he took me to the meeting. And I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't realize he was schooling me, because later on, I applied it later on to doing my brand, the Equal MC Square brand. And from sitting in and hearing how this person got schooled here, I sat in a lot of meetings, man. A lot of meetings that most people. I sat in the meeting when they asked me my opinion about doing Polo Association, the U.S. Polo Association. You know that brand?
Yes, sir.
The knockoff of Polo.
Yeah.
I sat in the meeting. Of that. I knew I was there with the construction, with the creation of it, everything, all the talks about the whole nine, how they would strategically put it together and all. And I was never with it because I was always a polo fan, but I kind of figured there was an audience for everybody. For those that couldn't afford the polo, there was the U.S. Polo Association. But I'll just give you an example. I've sat in like a lot of interesting meetings. So I guess I learned. So when I went to go do my clothing line, I'm gonna say I wasn't destined to fail, but failure was not even like an option, because I had already saw where the market was going. I saw that there was an audience for the shirts. You know, I went to Turkey to find the best shirt manufacturer in Turkey. I didn't go to China, anything. I didn't cheat on the quality. My shirts, they were sold anywhere from like $350 to like $400 when the classics came out. And we're talking about 2003. There was not too many so-called urban brands that was getting that kind of money. Maybe the Red Monkey jeans and all, but I'm giving them a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Listen, Macy's took me, my last little point, Macy's took me to they have this 1.5 floor in Macy's in Howard Square. Macy's took me, I went there, me and Steve went there, they took us around. They were offering me this area in the 1.5 floor. And they told me that, I guess Mitchell & Ness, the jerseys were dying out. Mitchell & Ness, they were taking them from out of there, and they want to give me the slot. So they gave us, like, they were giving us some ridiculous number of items that they wanted to do to fill up this area. I mean, it was a lot. And I turned it down. So Steve was happy because, he's from Long Island, Jewish dude from Long Island. But that was like a brag. You on 30, you in Macy's, 34th Street, they're giving you the 1.5 floor with all the so-called brands. The other exclusive brands was there. They was offering you that. And when I told them nah, I didn't think it was a good idea. We had a little turmoil. But then when I explained it to him, again from the knowledge that I got from Howie, and I explained to him that there wouldn't be a good idea because it would hurt the mom and pop stores. And then Macy's is one of those places that if you're not performing, and if the brand is not really performing like that, they start discounting the brand, right? So I couldn't have them discount my brand because I'm making my brand from uptown, from the hood, some of the hood stores. And although in New York I was only in maybe 3 stores in New York, that was by choice. That wasn't because I couldn't have been in more. I just felt that, again, for me learning the game, I didn't saturate the brand, so I made sure there was 1 store in Brooklyn. Actually, it was 4 stores. There was 1 store in Brooklyn, 2 stores in Harlem, and 1 store in the Bronx. And if they wanted the product, they had to seek it out. And New York was my last market. I didn't even come to New York first. I went to Atlanta. I went to Atlanta. I went to Chicago. I was killing them out there, and I was bringing in shirts, new shirts every 2 weeks. I was not the same design though. They were all. I did 79 shirt designs in 1 year. Different shirt designs.
Wow.
If you talk to anybody that's in the fashion business, they'll say it's almost like it's impossible.
Wow.
But I did, and I was flying every 2 weeks because what I was doing was the shirts became so hot that those guys that had that money, they were coming in every week to get fresh. I knew who my customer was. So every week I know that guy, after he wore that shirt the one time and got a compliment, I knew he's coming back. So every 2 weeks I had to make sure, and then I had like 10 colorways coming in each week. So it was nothing. I'm at a jewelry place in Jersey, and the guy's like, man, you eat Calusi Square? And he's like, man, I got like about 15 of your shirts. And I didn't think he was lying. Because I knew I put out way, I knew that, that it's impossible for him to be lying about that.
Right.
I know he wasn't saying it to me where I'd be like, you got 15, really? Because I know how much product I put out. It was like crack, man. It was like crack. And I could have been in like Barney's at the time. I could have been in probably all of the department stores because I could the quality, I was competing. But the big dudes wasn't going to Nordstrom. I was making medium all the way to 6X, man. The big dudes was like, they were loving me. I made the big dudes sexy at the bar, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I made that dude that was 6X, he was a sexy dude at the bar, bro. I brought happiness to his body via clothing, fam. That's a fact.
Right.
And that was my motto. Like, I'm looking to bring happiness to the body via clothing.
Right.
So I knew he was gonna be the cute guy at the bar tonight. And I knew once he got hooked on it, it was like crack. He's gonna come back and and I was talking to a guy last week, and he was like, man, I still got some of your shirts, man. He's like, I trimmed them, I lost some weight, I took them to the tailor, had him trim it down, but your shirts are standing the test of time. And,
wow.
I was being knocked off by some of the higher brands.
Wow.
They were knocking the shirts off. They couldn't knock the quality off. All the fabric on the shirts was from out of Italy. You know what I'm saying? It was all Italian fabric. It wasn't like, I didn't spare no expenses, bro. The chubby buttons. I had a strip on my shirt that had a strip that you could take the buttons off the shirt. You
Wow.
could take the buttons off the shirt, so when you send it to the cleaners, when the cleaners goes to press it down, it's an even press. So, like, what would happen sometimes, the cleaners, depends what cleaners you were going to, they would crush the buttons, or they would break the buttons, and they couldn't give you like an even press. So I know, you know what I'm saying? I knew how I would want my shirts to be, so I made it tailored just like how I would want it. So I had all those things, and it came in a burlap bag with a wooden handle. So imagine you leaving out a hood store with a bag that, like, you know what I'm saying? Then I hear people saying, dude, I saw some lady on the train, which used to be like, now used to be like, Ozzie, I saw this lady on the train with the Eclipse Square bag, like she had a dress shoes in it. I said I knew, because I knew that the guy would take it home, either his sister, his girlfriend, or his mother would grab that bag, and that would be her bag that she would be putting her dress shoes in. Because, well, like a lot of women in the city wore the sneakers, and then I knew that was the end result that I thought that would happen with the bag.
Okay.
And that's exactly what happened with the bag. So everything was carefully thought through. That's the point I was making.
Okay. So, yo, brother, we got like 3 minutes, man. What you want to wrap up and say to the people in fashion world? You want to talk about the new fashion or what Oz is doing now? It's all up to you. We got 3 minutes. You got it.
I do a lot of lately I've been doing. See, that there was a journey, and we don't have to miss. We skipping past the whole journey. What happened was, and I'll be quick about it. I had to leave. I left the fashion business for a long time, for a minute. I mean, I'm still ghost design for a lot of brands, but I came out of the clothing and I had to stop doing my brand. I started battling with anxiety. So what happened was I was traveling too much, and I think it threw my body off. I wasn't getting enough sleep, and then I was heading. See, that's another thing that's like a learning curve. Like I'm out every night. I'm partying. I'm going to open bars. I'm like I paid. I kept my passport in my pocket. I'm coming in from Turkey, and I'm on a plane going to Japan, and then I'm going to I'm in Hong Kong. I'm in Kowloon, then I'm going to China. You know what I'm saying? Then I went to Greece. I kind of like I was moving around. So what happened was I wasn't taking care of myself. So because I have an impulsive I was started battling with anxiety. That's the best way to say it. I've never been a scared or nervous person in my life, but there was a shift, and then I had to move away. And I thank God for it too, because I was moving around so much that I wasn't spending enough time with my daughters. And I had twin girls. So it forced me to slow down. Life, I guess God was the universe's way of telling me slow down, and we gave you two gifts. You know what I'm saying? It was my daughters, and you need to spend some time with my kids. So that's what I've been doing for like a few years now, just more than a few years. Like for the last 15 years, I've just been sort of kind of taking care of my kids. Well, just not really taking. What I'm saying, making sure that I'm
just putting family first. You just putting family first.
Visible. Yeah, I'm visible. I'm making sure that I'm visible in my life. I'm making sure that they didn't end up on the strip pole, or they didn't end up in like whatever. You know what I'm saying? I made sure that was like a big thing with me to make sure that I was there for my daughters. You know what I'm saying? So I don't regret it. The journey that I went through, the panic attacks I was having every day and all that. I don't regret it at all. I just it is what it is. So that's pretty much. It's too much, man. It's too much.
All right.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. They would have to be a part two.
Okay.
I hope I wasn't so long-winded.
Nah, you was good with it. So yo, we appreciate you, brother. We gonna